Good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, if you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please particular take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic refused. You know the drill. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as the link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss things like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. Alright, folks, so where we left off, but before we do, can all the crazy crap that's been going on the last few, well, not just few days, but the last few years stop? I'm tired of the damn roller coaster. I have lived through way too many historic events just within the last few years for my comfort. Can a girl get a normal year? I know that's saying a lot being neurodivergent, but mother of God. We got people taking shots at Trump. We got apparently the Diddy trial, and we've got thousands of bottles of baby oil. We've got people jumping out of presidential elections, and I've had enough. I've just had enough. I don't know. Can people just. It's probably due to the oversaturation of social media. It's part of one of the reasons why I've really taken a large step back from it, which has been very good for me, and I think we all need to start doing that. Because if we keep saturating ourselves in the constant negativity, and it is all the negative shit that constantly goes viral, we're just gonna keep living in this state of knee-jerk emotional reactions to everything, dragging things into other cases that have literally nothing to do with one another. It's a never-ending negative emotional roller coaster. I'm just, even as a nihilist, I have a limit. Sorry, I had to vent because, mother of God, we got to get off social media. We got to stop saturating ourselves with constant negative shit all the damn time. We got to take our heads out of our phones and, for the love of God, start getting back to some semblance of life, because this constant saturation of never ending negative insanity is what has people knee jerk reaction. And when you knee jerk react one way and another person's knee jerk reacting the other way, that's why we have two sides foaming at the mouth right now. All right? Just saying. When the nihilist tells you there's too much negativity, you really, media especially, need to start thinking about your life choices. Because at the end of the day, all of the clicks in the world are not going to be worth it if you if the world implodes with this insanity, all right? Okay, back to where we were. In another case cited by the commenter, the Ninth Circuit Court described the primary considerations for distinguishing between legislation and adjudication as whether the government action applies to specific individuals or to an unnamed and unspecified persons, whether the promulgating agency considers general facts or adjudicates a particular set of disputed facts, and whether the action determines policy issues or resolves specific disputes between particular parties. In other words, in layman's terms, what they're talking about there has to do specifically with individuals, human beings. Okay? Those are the kind of cases that do determine things such as guilt, when, what, who, where, why. Now, the FDA is not doing any of that. There is no blame floating around from anybody except those of us who know what the JRC gets up to. But as far as the FDA is concerned, that is not their job to pass judgment on. It's literally singularly targeted towards this particular medical device. So nobody's pointing fingers at the parents here from the FDA side. I'll point those fingers. I'll be glad to point those fingers until I take my very last breath. But that's not what the FDA is doing here. They are not targeting individuals. They're not even necessarily targeting the JRC. They are targeting the device. That's it, and that's all. So if you are targeting a device, not a person, if you're not assigning anyone guilt, how is that adjudicative? It isn't. Really isn't. It's saying that you're denying due process in a situation that, what do you mean? Is a device supposed to have due process? Are we giving due process to inanimate objects now? Justice for the coffee table? Uh, but let's continue, shall we? Gallo versus U.S. District for the District of Arizona. Although this court pointed out that the line between legislation and adjudication is not always easy to draw, it is easy to determine that this device ban falls well within the legislative side of the line. It does, because it is not imparting guilt to one side or another. They are not targeting any specific individual. They're not even necessarily, in spite of what the JRC continues to argue, they're not necessarily targeting the JRC either. Okay? This isn't a court case. There's being no assigning of guilt. It has to do very specifically with its device, and does it or does it not represent an unreasonable risk of injury or harm, which it has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it absolutely does. So the FDA is acting within the authority of the mandate given to them to the federal government to remove the device that has already been proven time and again to be harmful and a threat to the child's welfare who's stuck on the poor thing, on that thing, okay? These things are not the same. Why the JRC continues to try to treat this as though it is an actual court case. Like the FDA is just targeting the JRC and trying to impart on them guilt. Okay, show me anywhere in that in the documents here where that is happening. They have gone over some of the JRC's past. That is true. The reason behind that is specifically due to the regard of the research that had to be done to be able to tell, is this device harmful or not? It's not imparting guilt. They're not even passing judgment on the JRC's overall treatment program. I am. I'll do that. I'll do that all day long, but that's not what the FDA is doing. But that's what the JRC is trying to infer. But like most JRC arguments, it's easy to tear apart with barely even a smidgen of effort. Most of the effort really goes into these videos, folks, is being able to stomach going over this every day without just drowning in the misery of it all. We're going to go ahead and close on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, you do know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all in a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.